Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the 12th Annual Women of Valor. I'm Todd Salovey, the Artistic Director of the Lipinski Family's San Diego Jewish Arts Festival.
And my name is Ali Viterbi, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director of the festival, as well as the Director and co-writer of Women of Valor, along with writers Todd Salovey, Leah Salovey, Sarah Price Keating, and J-Fest Associate Producer Becca Myers.
It is our honor to share this year's selected Women of Valor. Beloved klezmer musician Elizabeth Schwartz, sleep researcher and professor of psychology Sonia Ancoli-Israel, Jewish Federation's Director of Philanthropy Jodie Graber, and Holocaust survivor Francheska Gelbart.
This year's inspiring honorees give us hope for a vibrant and meaningful Jewish future. Tonight, we honor Jodie Graber.
We dedicate this episode of Women of Valor to President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of San Diego, Michael Jesser, thanking you for your service to our community and wishing you a refuah shlema.
Thank you so much for watching, and please enjoy A Woman of Valor.
A woman of valor, who shall find?
She is more precious than pearls.
She seeks out wool and flax and cheerfully does the work of her hands.
She is like trading ships, bringing food from afar.
She gets up while it is still night to provide for her household.
She invests herself with strength, and her arms are powerful.
She opens up her hands to the poor and reaches out to the needy.
Eshet Chayil Niimsa, a woman of valor, who shall find?
So many people have been incredibly influential in my life, and especially in welcoming me to San Diego. I mean, there's just so many incredible women in this community, and there are 100 people that I know that I could reach out to at any given moment, and if I took the time to list every single one, we would be here for more than a year. Fundraising is really about relationships. I often talk about transformational philanthropy versus transactional philanthropy. And for me, the meaning in my job is connection and being able to do something in partnership with a donor. The biggest part is being able to connect people to what they're passionate about. I've been fundraising for a number of years and was always really good at the back office work. And when I shifted my thinking that it's about relationships, that really helped put me at ease and make me understand what an honor it is. Not unlike the Tzedakah Gabbai, right? One meaningful recent fundraising project is actually not in the Jewish community, but with Diversionary Theater. I serve on their board, and going through a capital campaign process and understanding Diversionary's needs to remodel and renovate the building and deal with the mortgage, knowing that I could help connect the dots and begin the process for the board and organization, it's been a meaningful thing. We're so excited. We're one of the only theaters that owns our own space in San Diego. At first, we were looking at a campaign that was about 1.5 million. And then we thought we could stretch it to 2 million. And now when all is said and done, we are looking at a $2.5 million campaign and having a brand new, beautiful, safe building. And so many people have been a part of that. I can't believe that I've only been a part of this community for 6 years, because there are just so many people that really feel like mishpacha. And that's where my strength comes from, is knowing that I'm not on my own. It really takes a community. I wasn't raised in an observant Jewish way. We observed Hanukkah and did Seder and did the sorts of things that you do on the holidays, but I didn't have a bat mitzvah. I went to religious school for a very short time. But in my early 20s, in 1997, I went to Israel and was there for a few months and fell in love with the country and with a guy and ended up making Aliyah. I volunteered for the Israeli army, went to the Ulpan, learned Hebrew. It was an incredible experience. And, I was young and not necessarily something that I would do now in my 40s, but I'm so glad that I had that experience. Living in Israel for a few years was really a pivotal time for me, and sort of a shift in how I identified as a Jewish person. When I think about my own biggest tests, going through a divorce was not easy, and mourning the loss of that marriage was really hard. And I'm not entirely sure how I got through that. I never thought I would get married again. I think you put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving forward and know that tomorrow will be a different day. We all have hard days. And I think this pandemic has demonstrated that we just keep moving forward. That's what's been on the forefront of my mind. It's just, moving forward and growing. I think one of our biggest challenges now is the rising antisemitism. It's really scary and is rearing its head in ways that I don't think any of us expected. I remember after the Tree of Life shooting, somebody had said something about the fact that one of the victims was a Jew by choice. And the murderers didn't stop to ask, "Oh, have you converted?" And I often think about that. I think about the perception that we sometimes have about people who are Jews by choice, or of Jews of all hues and identities, really. There's no sort of differentiation, right, between, I'm sorry, this is hard for me, because I remember someone saying to my husband, Matt, well, why would you convert? Nobody's going to think of you as a Jew anyway. And sort of challenged Matt for converting. That shooting really shook me to my core. They're not going to stop and ask, "Are you a Jew by choice or not?" It just sort of shook me to my core. I mean, we have plenty of non-Jewish people in our places of worship or in our JCCs or whatever. And the fact that our physical locations aren't secure, I can't believe that in another 10 years, will likely not have any more survivors with us, and that there are people, who are in denial that the Shoah even existed. It's just beyond. I can't even. It's really hard for me to talk about. The shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue, it happened on my birthday. It was the way I woke up. I think it was my 40th birthday. And then to have it happen here in San Diego 6 months later just felt so surreal. It was my nephew's birthday exactly 6 months later. So I'll remember that day forever, exactly 6 months to the date. I just couldn't believe it was happening here. That's one of the things that's becoming more and more of a priority for us at the Federation. It's like hard to even believe that we have to have conversations about bomb threats or securing these buildings. There's something about embodying Jewish values that you don't necessarily realize until you work for a Jewish organization. Tikkun Olam is an obvious one, right? But in the last year, one of the things that I've been kind of thinking a lot about in the pandemic is the value of pikuach nefesh. I don't want to inadvertently get anybody else sick, right? I didn't realize the Federation had been a part of my life in helping me to go to Israel the first time until later. But our work has always been about providing an opportunity for people to connect Jewishly in whatever way they want, whether it's camp or the JCC or synagogue or whether it's their love of Israel. I just want people to know that there's some version of Jewish identity for them. A lot of us feel like, well, I don't understand the Hebrew, so I can't go to synagogue, or I don't know how to say the motzi, so I can't observe Shabbat. And I don't want people to feel alienated like I did. What makes me happy, my husband, Matt. He's got the best sense of humor. I know that sounds so simple, but Matt's always doing everything he can to make me happy. And all he needs to do is just be. What does he do? He washes the dishes. Every day he washes the dishes. And he doesn't take life too seriously. Every time I start to feel overwhelmed, he sort of pushes the pause button and says, it's just burgers and fries. I really appreciate that. And him doing the dishes also really helps. I think there's hope moving forward, knowing that even though the darkest days will always be dark, that there's so much light and beauty. I feel so fortunate. When Matt and I moved here 6 years ago, we didn't have any friends or family here. I never imagined that I would have an incredible Jewish community, arts community, so many incredible people around us, and people have just embraced us. I'm so grateful to our donors for their commitment, their investment in making our world better, but also the time that they spend with me. They do so many things and they're willing to spend a few minutes talking. It makes my job worth it. I'm about to have a conversation in half an hour with someone that I don't know all that well, and I'm nervous, but I know that I can just ask questions and that person will be comfortable and generous in sharing with me. I hope that we can take what we've learned from the pandemic and bring even more people together. At the Federation, we talk about opening up the tent, inviting more people into the Jewish community. I hope we'll continue to grow that tent and those opportunities and take what we've learned in a new way and do that in a better way than before. And I hope people are craving community and looking to connect. I really hope so.
Los bíblicos cantan con suspiros de amor. Los bíblicos cantan con suspiros de amor. Mi neshama y mi ventura está en tu poder. Mi neshama y mi ventura está en tu poder.
You know, there's things I can do stuff about, and there's things I can't do stuff about. So if I'm just going to sit around, fretting, I'm not really solving anything.
I find that I'm almost not ready yet to go back into the world. I sort of treasured that time alone to just sort of, find myself again.
I think that we are all going to value the small things a lot more.
What I learn is really the technology, when it works, is wonderful. And if you're knowledgeable enough to be on Facebook or Zoom, there are lots of things accomplished during the pandemic.
I learned how to be me without being part of a couple. And I think the pandemic gave me the opportunity to do that.
Before we were always so busy. We were always go, 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 go. And this is like a forced experience to slow down. And I'm going to continue to try to find places where I can take a break so that I can recharge and continue to move forward and grow.
Well, I'm sure now I'm much more pleasant to be around. But the truth is, it's just easier to relax. Oh my God. I wish I had known this 50 years ago.
I hope that we appreciate things more as life comes back. And when we have more things available to us, that we don't take them for granted the way we used to.